everyone, my name is Marika. Welcome to my channel. So today I would like to share with you a book haul from some recent thrifting bookstore trips that I've taken lately. I have some contemporary fiction and I have some literature and other stuff. So let's get into it. The first book that I want to share with you today, I've been meaning to read for a long time because lots of people say that it's good. I'm going to start with the fiction here, but I'm not normally a mystery person or like a murder person, so I think that's probably why it took me so long to pick this up. But this one is The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. I've heard really great things about this, and I think what made me pick it up on this particular trip was that I've kind of been into that Gilded Age sort of aesthetic lately, and I think that's a really cool aesthetic that really goes with the fall somehow. It seems really romantic and kind of dark, and so I love that it was set in the Chicago World's Fair around that very Gilded Age sort of time period. So that sounds interesting. This is kind of near the top of my list, so hopefully I'll get to this soon. I am going on a trip, so this might be a really good airplane read. It sounds really exciting. The next book that I want to talk about is The House at Riverton by Kate Morton. I read my first Kate Morton earlier this year. I read The Clockmaker's Daughter, and there were some things I really liked about that book and some things that I didn't like so much. Like, there's a lot of more than implied marital infidelity, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I really fell in love with her prose and the way that she crafts the story. So that really got me hooked, and I've had another Kate Morton on my to-read list ever since. It sounds like this is kind of similar in execution to The Clockmaker's Daughter. It's multiple timelines. You're kind of going back and forth between, I think, the modern day and like the 1910s, 1920s. And that sounds really interesting. I really loved how she crafted The Clockmaker's Daughter that way. I think she's really good at weaving those timelines together. So hopefully this will be a really good read too. I think her prose is the best. So next in line I have some literature. I'm a big literature guy. I probably read more classics than contemporary literature. Even though they're more difficult for me, I am pretty slow at reading them, but I find that I get a lot more out of books that are old than books that are newly released. I try to pick up some classics every time I'm at the bookstore, and I have a running collection, especially of hardcovers. So one of the ones I picked up this time was this anthology of Charles Dickens short stories. This one, it caught my eye because it has A Christmas Carol in it, which I don't have a copy of. I'm always looking for things that I don't have a copy of yet. But it also had some other short stories, so I picked it up. I thought it would be interesting to read around Christmas. A Christmas Carol is one of my favorite Christmas stories of all time. Like, I think I might have seen every film adaptation of it that there is. But the other thing, a couple of things made me like this particular copy. It has these amazing illustrations. I don't know if they're original, but like this is from A Christmas Carol, and I just love that. Like, I think it's printmaking is how you make illustrations like that, but I really liked them, and it's full of them. But then the other thing that made it so that I had to get this was that the second story is called The Chimes, but the subtitle of the story is A Goblin Story of Some Bells That Rang on an Old Year Out and a New Year In. And I just thought that was such an amazing hook to have another supernatural story from Charles Dickens, which I've never heard of, but that sounds a lot like A Christmas Carol, but for New Year's, and I just thought that sounded very intriguing, so that's why I had to pick this up. But also, look at these wonderful illustrations. I like that one in particular. So that's the Charles Dickens anthology. The next one that I picked up mostly just to have for my collection. This isn't really on my immediate to-do list, but I just love this cover. I really like a nice, well-bound hardcover book, something that feels like it's going to last. So this is Don Quixote by Cervantes. I just really like that it feels like a sturdy hardcover, and I didn't have a copy of Don Quixote yet. I'm currently going through a reading list of kind of Western literature chronologically, so it'll be a while before I get up to Cervantes. I'm currently like still back in the Greeks, so but hopefully I'll get to this once I can get to some more modern novels. So the last two that I have are somewhat of a different flavor than the other ones. They're less of books that you read through and more kind of references, but this one I was pretty excited about. It's called The Politically Incorrect Guide to English and American Literature. It does have a little bit of a political bent to it, but what I really enjoyed about it was that it goes through each period of English literature, like Old English literature, medieval, Renaissance, and it kind of tells you the main points to look for and has reading lists, like here's medieval literature. And it has these little reading lists on the side here of what are the main works in that period. And I'm really interested in that because it's not always easy to tell what's important in a literary time period, and it's like, it seems really good to kind of give you a bird's eye view of different periods and to give you a good solid reading list for if you want to understand that period. And I have not read nearly as much as I thought that I had, and that was kind of humbling and really cool to learn about. So I'll probably be using that as a reference for my literature journey. And then the last one that I have, I had been wanting to pick up for a while. I have heard of this website before, but I kind of hesitated to buy her book because at full price it was just like, I'm not sure if that's going to be worth it to me as a reference. But the last one that I have is the DIY MFA, which I was pretty happy to find secondhand. It's basically a writer's guide of how you can get an MFA style education, like a Master of Fine Arts style education in creative writing if you want to. That you can kind of design your own plan to execute that, like the things that you could read and the work that you should be doing in your writing if you want to have that style of kind of intense studying and writing. I don't really want to do that at this time. There was a time that I did want to do that, which is why I had heard of this before, but I'd always wanted to pick it up and read it. And I'm really glad that I did because it has some really useful information. So I think that'll be a really good writing reference, even if you just want to work on a creative project in the future. She has some really good tips in organization. I've looked at it a little bit. But so that'll go in my writing reference on my bookshelf. So that's everything that I have to share with you for today. Thanks for watching and thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon in the next one.